So it's 3 days after the cold snap that we dipped down into the low 30s, and we're predicted to hit 31 for several hours. And it looks like we may have just hovered around 32 for a few hours. And a lot of people who really don't know what to look for. So I'm kind of glad that this happened. So when you're planting and doing stuff, or you'll see, you know, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, well, the periwinkles over here are perfect, but the ones over here, people will think something's wrong with them, something happened. And they don't realize that little 1 degree temperature difference is what happened to them. It's not what's wrong with them, it's what happened to them. And then it's understanding what are the things around it, what kind of factors created that 1 degree difference. When you learn the little conditions that make that difference, you can implement that in areas to your favor and benefit your plantings. So here we have a verbena. By the looks of it, this plant has a super low freeze tolerance because I don't think it got colder than 32. And so that tells me this plant can handle more than Vinca, because Vinca right here is barely nipped compared to this verbena. So I'm going to take it down all the way to the bottom of the stalk, but I'm definitely going to keep these seeds in the garden because this is a really pretty native. So I'm just going to chop them up and drop them somewhere else. I just cut it back to right here. You can see this verbena still has some healthy growth right down here. And if we don't have a freeze in the next month, this could come back and make a couple more blooms. So there's no reason to get rid of that. But this Vinca, which was already kind of in a sad state right here, I'm just going to take all of this, you know, sad growth on down there, because this one was kind of leggy anyway. It was competing with something else over here earlier in the year, and it just got unhappy. So that's what I'm choosing to do with all of the Vincas. We got healthy growth here and some sad growth in front that got nipped by the cold snap, and I'm just removing those. This is the South Gardens. What's interesting is I don't think it got quite down to 32. All of these Vincas, periwinkles, they pretty much look untouched. So let's get back to the walkthrough, see what's going on here. So this area of the cosmos still look fine. These zinnias, I'm not sure how much I showed them when I did the walkthrough, but they got zapped a little bit. Parts that are fully exposed right here, this one had the least protection. It's just out in the open and it's the furthest from any type of bush or leaves. That one got zapped the most, as well as this one. So I'll just trim those back because there's still plenty of life on them, and there's really just no telling how or when we will have another freeze, or if. So I always err on the side of both. We might have a freeze, we might not. So I'm not gonna cut them all the way down the ground. I'm gonna cut them down to the healthiest growth. Like on this one, I'm going about halfway. And on this one, I'm just cutting off the one that looks bad. And I'm just gonna move the leaves out a little bit because since the sprinklers have been off here for a couple days, I just turned them back on. So I'm about to run everything. Anyway, so I'm just gonna take this one off down to the lowest healthy part. Same thing with all of these. Just trimming those little frostbite areas, call it what you want. Just trimming those away. So now the zinnias, what I've left here is just the healthiest growth of them. And when I run the sprinklers, they should perk back up. They're probably on the dry side too. Look at all the heather. The heather, okay, I almost missed this. The heather got, you know, it must be really sensitive into like, you know, say 33. That might be its sensitivity point. Like this heather right here, it will be one of the first things to come back. If I cut it all down right now, it would start trying to come back right away. What's really funny is, you know, it got frostbit more than the Vincas, which is just really strange. So another factor in that is the Vincas could be closer to the ground and the ground provides heat. These heathers are further off the ground, so it's a little cooler. You know, 2 feet off the ground is a little bit colder than 1 foot off the ground. And you can see that here. See all this white haze? That is just a little touch of frost burn. It's probably gonna all turn brown and ugly, but you can see the under part down here, close to the ground and under the top layer is still fine. So I'll probably remove all this top part that's ugly because this is gonna turn brown and ugly anyway, but I'm gonna leave all this. And if we get another freeze, this will die back too, but it's okay. It's totally okay. I know it sounds silly, but these little microclimatic changes throughout your yard, like being close to a bush, being close to rocks, being on the south side, being on the north side, every single aspect creates that little bit of condition change for the plant's environment that will affect it one way or the other. It's just crazy. There are some periwinkles here and there, like just this little group right here. This is the worst looking bit right here of the periwinkles. This can all be trimmed back and rejuvenate the plant for even more blooms. So to me, that's not even really, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm just cutting these back to the next healthy part, or to the height that I prefer. And then I'm gonna chop up all of this stuff right here in the garden. This client's out of town, so this will turn into mulch, but periwinkles will reseed readily. So that's why I always like to keep the seeds in the bed when possible, and then I try to toss them in places that are favorable to the conditions that they like full sun and a little bit of irrigation. If I toss them back there in the shade, they wouldn't really ever do anything, so that's why I do it right here. And like I said, the client's out of town, so you know, even if I did this and explained to them what it was, they'd be okay with it. But I do try to, I don't want it to look like I'm leaving a mess, so I try to be discreet when I can or when I need to. But for now, that's how I'm leaving that, and that'll all decompose back into the garden. All of these drift roses, these are looking good. The giant iris is doing well. Banana peel plant's doing well. All of these drift roses, of course, are perfectly fine. The yarrow and the strawberries, they're fine. The apples, this is the apple tree. This is the apples that I showed. They're all okay. And these are fully exposed, just, you know, hanging right there. This is the little propagation station that I have. I put these two in the garage. The indigo looks pretty okay. There is something that happened to my little eucalyptus plants cuttings that I'm not sure of. Okay, so this stem was crispy. You can see the leaves. You know, it's crispy. Okay, there's two in here that are kind of crispy. You hear that sound of the leaves? Okay, this one's really crispy. I'm just gonna move it over. I'm taking the leaves off and move it over. This one I'm taking out because it was really thick anyway. Okay, this one's still really soft. This one is still really soft. This one is, it's like kind of crispy and soft. It's got a mixture. So just gonna maybe tap them down a little harder. The soil wasn't dried out or anything, so I don't know, but I need to go check the ones that I put in the ground to see. 'Cause I can't remember if I put them in the ground after this or before this one, but anyway, I don't know if it had to do with the cold snap either, even though they were in the garage, but maybe the soil has to stay a certain temperature for the propagation to stay at least healthy. I don't know if it's going to take it all, but I'm just setting that over here, and then I need to go check the ones that are in the ground. Show the rest of this plant on this side. The ajuga's fine. The creeping Jenny over here looks great. This ajuga, everything looks pretty untouched. Over here looks just as I would have expected. It's gone like 3 to 4 days without water and winds. It's been in a windy situation, but it's still okay. Got the sprinklers on now, making up for the lost water. So I want to run down here and check really quick on these eucalyptus that I put here. This brick wall right here faces south, and I can put my hand here and feel the heat coming off of it because now the sun's on the other side, so it's starting to get in the shade, but I can feel the heat that radiates off of it, enough to where I can definitely tell how these plants on this side stayed extra warm. These are the eucalyptus, and these are not soft. These are crispy. So there's one here. I don't know how many I put, but the stick that I was trying to break right here, the stick is still pretty flexible at the bottom, so maybe there's hope. But I do feel like it's even putting out a little new growth there. I'm cutting that off. I just feel like now that the sprinklers are on, I feel like that's gonna help it somehow, and I'm gonna put this little piece, these little pieces are gonna go in my pocket. That's been a while. That's been a few weeks since I put that there. So the big eucalyptus right here, this is fine. This one's very soft and fine. Like if you watch other gardening channels and they're located anywhere north of zone 8 and they say, oh, this is going to die back in the winter, what they're referring to What we know is what happens when we have, and if we have 2 weeks of freezing weather, consistently freezing weather, and everything dies back. That's what they're talking about, except for them, it's months. And I've been in zone 9 for 30 years. That's only happened maybe twice in 30 years. So in this region can maximize and benefit from that if we really pay attention and get to know our plants individually, and then we can plant according to that strategy, knowing what those thresholds are, to the level of tolerance that you're willing to have in your garden for the cool weather of, letting things die back or not. So you can plan for what empty spots you'll have. Because most people struggle with having the empty hole or empty spot in their yard when there's nothing there, or having the dead plant to look at. They just don't want to look at it. If you're prepared to let everything die back, then that's okay too. But for the times that we're just going to just touch down into the low 30s for a short period of time and then be right back up into these warm temps, a quick cover with even like a sheet, a blanket, a towel, or anything does wonders. And if you happen to be laying mulch, go ahead and you can cover your annuals a little bit and just tuck them up. If you can come back and uncover them. But anyway, it's just a personal preference in case you would like to consider that.